I'm wondering if there was anything that Bo could have done tonight that could have gotten in the contract.
All right, so what people need to understand here, and maybe it's kind of hard for them to fathom, is that the commission would not sanction Bo Nickal against probably 90% of the UFC roster at 185. And the reason that is because he only has 3 fights right now. I believe you can't even get on the Ultimate Fighter without having 4 fights. Now, the UFC did get Brock Lesnar in there, but he was already super famous, and I think it was kind of a rare situation. You know, CM Punk, he fought a guy with 1 fight, Mike Jackson, and he fought Mickey Gall, who had 2 fights. So it wasn't like they were putting him in there with... The only reason Mickey Gall and Mike Jackson got those fights is because they were fighting CM Punk. So those discussions with the commission are kind of difficult to have. A lot of people really don't realize that. They don't consider wrestling to be a combat sport. I think it's the hardest combat sport you can do, but they don't consider it to be that. And if people want to bring up James Toney had 1 million pro fights. He probably had God knows how many amateur fights. He had more fights than Couture by a mile. The commission will let guys from other combat sports cross over in the UFC with no problem. That's why these guys that are kickboxers are able to do that. But wrestling, they don't consider to be a combat sport. And because of that, they make it difficult for guys like Bo Nickal to cross over into the UFC. I think Bo could beat the majority of the guys at 185 right now, but the commission doesn't look at it that way. They look at how many fights he has, how much experience he has, and would they sanction him against a particular opponent. Most of the guys in the UFC have a lot of fights already.